essay I will be talking about is the checks and balances of government. First of all, the checks and balances history was first created by Charles Louis de Secondat, also known as Montesquieu. He was mainly a lawyer. His idea is now widely spread around the world. After Montesquieu, the United States of America was the first country to use this type of government. Then it was France, Montesquieu's own country, after the French Revolution. The purpose of a system of checks and balances is to have less corruption and bias. This separation of powers also ensures that one part of government does not have more power than the another. So it's basically a balance system. And the checks and balance system works by ensuring that one part of government does not get more power than another. Because Congress has the power to make laws and the president cannot, the president/executive branch was given the power of executive orders. It is not a law but a minor law that is not approved by anyone besides the judicial branch. For example, Donald J. Trump has issued a few executive orders, one of which blocks immigrants from 7 countries from coming into the United States. However, federal courts have announced this order unconstitutional. If the Supreme Court or any court rules a law or executive order unconstitutional, then it is overruled. Therefore, the law/order will cease to exist. Reason for the separation of powers is that without the separation system, 3 powers can be corrupt, biased, and there will be nothing to stop them. But if there are 3 separate powers, all having an advantage and a weakness, the government can be less corrupt and biased. 3 separate groups ensure that one does not get more power than the other. It is very important. In countries with parliamentary systems, the executives, legislatives, and the judicials are all put together. If this happens, one person having an idea can influence the entire government. This is not a good idea. There will be more bribed officials to make laws that will be advantages for the rich or high-ranking aristocrats, or bad things like revolutions or other riots can happen because of these laws. This rule also makes sure that the branches all have advantages and weaknesses against each other. The 3 different branches, as explained before, have advantages. They also have weaknesses, and when Congress makes a law, it can either be ruled unconstitutional by the judicials or vetoed by the executive branch. However, the legislative branch can impeach the president or fire the judges of the judicial branch by voting. The executive branch can pass an executive order. However, like official laws, this can be overruled by the judicial branch. The legislatives can appoint judges to the judicial branch. Communism and checks and balances and other ideas to checks and balances. Any form of government can have checks and balances. Communism, socialism, liberalism, Nazism, and parliamentary systems can all use checks and balances. However, monarchies cannot have checks and balances because only one monarch has the power to everything. Any type of government can have checks and balances. However, depending on the government systems, checks and balances are different. If it is an extremist government like Nazism or communism, the executive branch would have more power because these types of government have more dictatorship than others. Monarchies cannot have checks and balances. The reason is because the king has all the power. In checks and balances, the separation of government is mandatory. If it is not separated, it cannot be checked and balanced. Checks and balances in foreign countries. Different countries can have different systems of checks and balances. The UK has checks and balances. However, some parts of government are weaker than others. The House of Lords is like the judicial or legislative branch. They can approve or delay a law from being passed, but they do not have the power to veto it completely. Summary. In summary, each branch of government has a weakness and advantage over one another. For example, the executive branch can pass executive orders, but they can be ruled unconstitutional. The legislative branch can pass laws, but the executive branch can veto laws. Even if the president vetoes, the legislative branch can overrule the veto by voting. However, that can still be ruled unconstitutional by the judicial branch. Each branch has its own set of special powers. And final facts. John Calvin was actually the first person to propose the idea of checks and balances, but his idea wasn't completely well known. And entire North America and Mexico have some sort of checks and balances along with their democracies. And in the world, at least 50% of the countries have a form of checks and balances. Thank you.